All right, we're back to doing this again. I had the Popeyes Five Nights at Freddy's meal, right? And as I was eating, it was like, also it was my first time having Popeyes ever. And as I was eating it, I was thinking to myself, man, this food's like not bad. Fun, by the way, it isn't bad. It's pretty good. It was, for fast food chicken, but it was pretty good. The cupcake was monstrously sweet, however. To describe it, it tasted like thick cherry lipstick. So if I ever get it again, I'm just not gonna eat that because that was like really bad. Well, not really bad. It was fine, right? It was just like disgustingly sweet. If you have a sweet tooth, give it a shot. Well, it just was not for me at all. Uh, anyway, as I was eating this meal, I was sitting there. I thought to myself, "Oh man, I haven't made a video in a while. I should get on that soon." Anyway, I had this meal like a week ago, maybe two. Um, regardless, we're back, right? Regardless, we are indeed back. Um, oh, sorry, just talking to someone about whatever I'm gonna wear to a wedding that's coming up for me. Not my wedding, just, to clarify, I'm very lonely. Anyway, we're back. By we, I mean me. I have actually no reason why I left you guys hanging. I just didn't want to make a video, I guess. Anyway, I do now. We're here, we're back, and we're gonna do almost like a revamp. I wanna kind of maybe say. Because, like, I've done a video on, like, villains and stories. It wasn't so good. I've done a video on, like, enemies and stories. That wasn't so good neither. I mean, they're fine. They're just not, like, my favorites I've ever made. And so like 3 days ago actually by now. I asked a friend of mine, I was like, hey, of these video ideas, what sounds the most interesting to you? And he said to me, he goes, I think monsters is cool. I'm like, all right, I'll do monsters. So we're here. We're gonna talk about like monster design and stories. Maybe not like design, but like maybe just like how a monster fit. Because if you guys have seen it, and if you haven't, I genuinely do recommend this one. It's my video on how monsters can shape your world building. Because I've got a few things in that video that I thought were really good, and I don't remember what they were, and I don't feel like repeating myself anyway. Unless I do, but that's a separate point, and not the point right now. But what the point is this. We're gonna talk about like monsters design and monsters in stories, and remember, I'm a big fantasy guy. Most of the stuff I talk about, it's like with the assumption you're doing fantasy. Oh, my back just cracked nicely. Oh, and also for once, I'm not doing these at night. It's 12 in the afternoon where I am. Day after Thanksgiving. Don't know if it's coming up the same day, but had a nice meal. Hope y'all did as well, even if you aren't American or something. Now, I don't think I have much else to say, so we can get on with the actual topic, I think. What is that? Whatever. Yeah, I think that's all I wanted to say. Let's see here. For what's the right? Let's check in the descriptions. My talking points that I'll bring up if you want to just use those. So, what do I think I should bring up? This is probably a good one. Is this monster a freak of nature or like a species? Right? And what do I mean by that? I mean, well, I feel like it's pretty obvious what I mean. Is your monster a complete right, like left hand turn or right hand? I don't know which one the saying is. Like out of nowhere, it's like, oh wow, I didn't know your setting could support things like that. Or is it like a species of things? Uh, like uh, like that stuff on Skull Island. I don't know. I didn't watch the movie. My point is though, is this like a average, maybe not even average, is this a threat that has a sum total of one or a threat that has a sum total of more than that? Because that will affect your world, of course. If this is a whole species, then it should be considered basically mundane, right? Like, even if it's weird and freaky and whatnot, just the fact that there is more than one and this could happen a fistful of times kind of lends credence to the idea that, hey, this is a normal thing in our world, right? Like, I'm going to keep using dragons as the go-to example because, hey, everybody knows dragons, everybody likes dragons, even if it's wyverns or whatnot, but that's a separate discussion. Take dragons, for example. Does your world have dragons with an S, or does your world have dragon with a N, I guess? Because that's gonna affect how your characters in your story behave, right? Obviously. That's gonna affect a few more things than even just that, honestly. Holy shit. Uh, sorry, I was distracted. Um, because in your world, wow, feeling completely out of whack now, out of nowhere. What the hell? Whoop, shit! Almost dropped something. Thankfully, I caught it. Um, basically, just keep in mind when you're making your stories, like, hey, is this something that I can use in my story, like several times throughout the course of it, or is this something that I'm just gonna bring up once, maybe as like a penultimate? Does penultimate mean the final, or is it like the second to last? Um, either way, as like a final fight, as like a boss sort of thing, or is this actually, that's actually not even the question you should ask. Like, I guess just character reactions, because even if it is a normal thing, such as if your world has a bunch of dragons, a dragon attack is still something that's treated on the same level as like a natural disaster. Sure, earthquakes are fairly common in the world, especially depending on where you live, but there's still something that's mundane. Regardless of them being mundane, people still treat them with like, I don't know, like, not fearfully, but like people still treat them like a big deal because, hey, believe it or not, they are, right? Uh, and that could be like implemented more into your story. Give your characters a like a human touch to them, yeah. Even if they're aliens or whatever the hell you're doing with your story. And if you want it to have them be like a common enough threat, go ahead, right? I don't know the power level of your story, even how powerful your little monster freaks are, yeah. But regardless, I want to emphasize this point home. And listen or don't, it's your choice. Animals don't really fight to the death, yeah. Like think in the wild, right? And this, I was thinking this because I saw a video. I know if you all have seen it, it's been floating around a bit. It's like, what was it? It was could a baryonyx survive in the Florida Everglades? I don't know if it was survive or like thrive or whatever. Let me find the video. I sent it to a friend. Could baryonyx survive the Everglades? Yes. Survival analysis and speculative evolution, stuff like that. I liked the video. You can tell by my tone, I'm prepping something here. I liked the video. Yeah, it was a cool enough video. It was a nice enough idea. I like dinosaurs, kinda. I don't like dinosaurs as much as I used to as a kid. Even as a kid, I didn't really like love dinosaurs, but like I like dinosaurs. Yeah, I like swamps. They're one of the prettiest environments in my opinion. Big fan of the swamp. Everglades is a swamp, I think, and so I watched it. I had a few problems with the video, but overall, I think it's a very fun video. One of the problems I had was like, and I blame power scaling for this, just like in general, mostly because I like blaming power scaling for things, whether or not it's like accurate to blame them. But the video like mentioned how Baryonyx is more powerful than an alligator. This is true. I'm not denying that as much as I like gators. They're fun animals. How baryonyx is. Let me grab this. Sorry, just reaching for something on the table. Baryonyx is indeed more powerful than an alligator. Who'd have guessed that? And the video kept bringing up how, like, if they were to fight, the baryonyx would win, and how that's, like, proving that it would be the superior predator and stuff like that. First of all, a lot more goes into being a predator in an ecosystem than just being the biggest and baddest and strongest. They're still competing for the same food sources, etc., and that's the point right now. B, that's not how animals like work though, right? Even predators don't really fight to the death unless they're hunting something, but that's a different sort of thing. Say a gator and a baryonyx did indeed fight. Baryonyx has like the weight and height advantage. It's got claws, which the gator doesn't really. Those little stubby little nails don't really count. And so they get into a tussle. They get into a spat. Or more accurately, the gator looks like a log, and the baryonyx doesn't see it or notice it, and then it clamps right the fuck down on its leg. Regardless of how much of the advantage that baryonyx has in that moment, it's running because animals, if you could believe it, don't like being hurt. Can I? Oh, let me do something very quickly. Pause. I was back and I think I know where I was. Sorry, I had to go do some chores. It was like a weird one. Anyway, um, so like, Jesus, where was I? Somewhat like the gator. Like, oh yeah, the gator like bites the baryonyx, right? The animal, if you could believe it or not, is in pain and doesn't really want to fight because of that and runs away. The reason I'm telling you this, right, is because I see way, way too often in just about any piece of media, regardless of genre and stuff. You see it in movies a lot, sci-fi a lot too, for some reason. Like, oh, the dangerous apex predator, it's stalking us all throughout the time. Wouldn't happen, especially if you fought back by a huge chunk. Predators aren't wont to. First of all, revenge is entirely a human concept. Uh, Second of all, uh, animals, predators especially, aren't really going to expend all that energy for what's really mediocre at best in terms of a food source, right? So I would prefer it in more media going forward if, predators are the same way. A lot of effort to have to fight and heal for one single meal when you're going to be hurt for several hunts moving forward, if you get what I'm saying. Um, Also, they don't want to die, so they're not going to fight until the death, if you get what I'm saying here. Right? As fun as we all love, as fun as it is, and as much as we all love, rather, the big, uh, like, dangerous monster hunting down our main characters tirelessly, ceaselessly. If you're having the monster be practically an animal, you might want to change something because that's not how animals really behave. And if you want your story to really have the really push forward that, oh yeah, this is just like the natural way of things, it's just a creature, then might want to have it behave, like a just a creature. Anyway, and continuing on with that mindset of like, hey, you got to make sure it's a creature. This is like a nitpicky thing that bothered me specifically. Most every predator is an ambush predator because ambushing is like a really good method of predation, right? And in fact, most predators like that we consider weird because they break away from that fact. Spiders just like sit around and wait for food to come to them. Same with filter feeders, but that's like a water thing, right? Like most predators follow slowly and then lunge at something silently and then kill and eat it. Lions do it. I think owls do it. Like I think every big cat does it. Wolves do it. Fuck, I think a frog does it to bugs and shit. Most animals are ambush predators. You don't need to keep going, oh, it's an ambush predator, because that's just kind of like, it's been the most effective method to hunt since there were methods to hunting. So that's just something that bothered me personally. Like, you don't gotta make a distinction. Like, every single fucking animal, every single predator does that. It's just kind of what they do. Now, what is the next point that I should go over? Let's talk about, because this is monster design, right? This is like fictional stuff. Let's talk about your setting. Let's have your monsters fit your setting, right? Because in a world with like fucking, I don't know, smog in the sky, in like tight urban sprawls, Predator being like huge and having like massive nostrils for lots of lung intake probably isn't the greatest design there. But that's not entirely what I mean. It's like I meant setting, but I wrote setting, but I should have meant plot and stuff, right? Monsters are fun when they've got like a thematic sort of thing to them, no? Uh, Part of the reason why I fucking hate 682 is one of my least favorite SCPs out of fucking just about all of them. Well, I just mostly hate how popular he is offsite. Like it has brought me genuine frustration. But you know, this is a separate thing. Did you guys see? It's not going around. Pissed me off. Someone on Twitter was like, "Who would win?" They put up an image of the SP Foundation. They put up a lobotomy corporation. Apparently, I've never interacted with the fandom. And I saw the response. Everybody's like, "Oh yeah, pretty sure SP Foundation has like kids playground types of power scaling, full of insta kills you and I dodge that type characters." I wish I had the confidence that people who don't know about SCP talking about SCP have. That genuinely made me mad for 2 days straight. Not like, oh, I'm fucking frothing mad. I'm red in the face. I'm punching my wall. More like, man, what the fuck? This is still people still think that kind of mad, especially so soon after the 9K contest. Man, you'd have thought they'd have at least. Is the barrier for entry that fucking hard? Since the start, this shit's all been free. It's all on one site too now. You can just read it there for free. How is the barrier for entry that fucking hard? It's free. Just read the files. It's not hard. I do it. There's like 10 hours of me doing it. I think it's more. I think it's like, okay. 53 minutes. That makes it 2 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours 50. 10 hours, 54, 12 hours, something. I think this is over. No, I think it's just under 24 hours. Let's say somewhere like 19 hours of me doing it. Like, it's not that hard. You just read files, dude. Like, it's. And tales, too. I recommend you read the tales. Anyway, making your monsters fit the setting, right? Like, if we're going for the whole hubris of man angle, why shouldn't we have, like, monsters representative or like that reference almost, I guess, like animal cruelty and animal abuse and like pet trades and stuff, because that's a horrible, awful thing that's happening right now in practice, and having a monster be a victim of that or like lashing out because of that would be not only a fun angle narratively speaking, but could also give us like fun things to mess around with for the plot. And then obviously, you can go for designs like that, right? Like scarring around the neck from like electrical collar, something a Son Pica reference. Uh, or like 3 layers of coats, right? For like the fur coat, for the fur industry and shit like that, right? You see what I'm going for there? Because we have, fuck, I dropped my phone and hit my hand. Oh fuck. Because we have, and it made you fully charged because I'm gonna be somewhere else until like fucking 11 at night. Because we have this thing we want to talk about, we can use the basis that we have as a result of this theming and make our monster designs interesting and memorable, and just give us more things to fuck around with at all, really. Because, I mean, hey, a monster with like deep gouges all over it, sure, that represent like oh, seniority, power, right? It's elder, it's been around for a while. But if it's clearly like artificial, then that's suddenly just sad, right? Sometimes you want to make your readers sad, man. Fuck the readers. Who are you to read what I'm putting down, or watch what I'm putting down, or like look, whatever project you're doing? I don't know. And obviously, there's way more that you can do than just that, right? And then this is also kind of hand in hand with environment now, because I'll start talking about this as well. But like, everything wants to fill an ecological or environmental niche. Whether or not it does that well is besides the point. Evolution's a bitch, yeah. But everything wants to fill an ecological and environmental niche. Making your monsters fit the setting could mean that literally. If your setting is taking place in a desert, obviously your animal would have adaptations suited to fit in a desert. Surface area that's wide in order to fit as many blood vessels as you can there, so that way you can disperse heat more efficiently. Or just like what else? Like efficient bodily systems, so that way you use less water on average, or some shit like that. Yeah. See where I'm going with that? Obviously, anything on the mountains or near mountains and shit is either good at climbing or can fly. I wouldn't really say burrowing, not in a mountain anyway. Leave that more towards like hills, I think. Are hills like soft? I know mountains are stone. Are hills like always dirt? Live in a pretty flat location. I wouldn't know. Uh, Regardless, your environment is obviously going to shape your monster, especially when it comes down to the fun parts, i.e., how it attacks, how it hunts, it's how many fucking teeth it has. I don't know. If you could believe it, something in the ocean would have fins. If you could believe it, something on land would have fucking feet instead, right? Or just whatever other kind of limb, hands, if you want it. If you could believe it, does like monster design can be improved by thinking, what would this look like if it lives here? And then when you go to Alien Planets, you just do whatever the fuck you want, man. I don't really know anything about making a sci-fi world. It's not really my sort of thing. And if you want an excuse, if you're thinking, cheese underscore stick one, you say that you don't like when projects world build too much and focus too much on the minor aspects instead of having a plot. How do you recommend that we combat that while also showcasing our really super awesome cool monster design that we love so much? And I say, hey, thanks for giving me this nice segue, straw man. I ever cared to be like a biologist or some shit, right? Or even just interested in this aspect of nature? What's that show, Dungeon Meshi? Isn't the main character autistic or some shit about that? I don't know if that's actually real or if that's just like autistic people are like, oh, yeah, I like this guy. Either way, point being is if you want an excuse to talk yeah, to talk about the intricacies of your monsters or like monster design in your world building or your projects or what have you, you do. There's this fun trick you have called having a main character with like a personality and interests in things beyond just the plot. Might want to try it sometime. That sounded more rude than I meant. Might want to try it sometime though. It's great fun. Lets you have your cake and also eat it too. How did the Unabomber say? He said have your cake and what was it like? Slice it. He said it in a different way and it sounded like he got caught because he had weird mannerisms in his like speech and stuff. And his brother's wife noticed in the letter, was like, hey, isn't this guy kind of right like Ted? It's weird. And his brother's like, nah, it's ridiculous. Now that you mention it, though, whatever. Point being, there's a lot you can do with diversifying your monster design, making it cool looking, and also having it tie back into either your plot or your setting, as you will. Of course, not everything has to be so hyper specialized to the point where like you're actively poring over their musculoskeletal system to make it like biologically feasible. That's the word I was looking for. Of course, unless you're doing speculative evolution, which is the point of speculative evolution, or if this is like a side project, because then you're even at like fuck, even as I said, with like a main character who's interested in this sort of thing, there's still limits even with that. Because I'm sure most of your readers, it's either lost on them or they just don't care about the density of their bones and the fat to muscle ratio. Even as someone who likes speculative evolution and like fictional biology, I don't really care about that personally. I mostly just like seeing cool adaptations from animals. And also sexual dimorphism. That's a cool thing that should be explored more in the animal kingdom. Like bugs are fucking weird with it, dog. Check it out. It's fun time sometime. Also look up telescopic generations. It's another bug thing. I don't know how that came to be, and I don't like that it did either. You should look it up sometime. It's great fun. Not for the bugs, I'm sure. Anyway, ugh. I'm sure there's more I could say, but A, this isn't the monster changing your world building video, and B, this isn't the other world building video I have. Instead, I'll answer this question: monsters or monsters? There's the when I wrote that, I was thinking of the stupid. No, that's not stupid, but like the typical usual. Sorry, I took some water. The usual typical sort of "Oh, man was the real monster the whole time," Shadow the Hedgehog quote. I'm sure he said that at some point. Well, he did say he loves Latinos, though. That is a famous quote of Shadow the Hedgehog. Never, don't besmirch that man's good name. Anyway, as like taught it as it is, man is the real monster. Like it's got a point, right? It made me think in cheese underscore stick one. Why are you bringing this up in the monsters design video? And well, because there's a very easy disparity. I think Resident Evil does this. I don't know. I've never played Resident Evil, but of having this huge slavering monster beast and then also a person, and then having the person's effects be considerably worse than the monster because of their wide-reaching, their lasting consequences, etc., etc. You know the way the trope goes. As tired as it is, it's still a good one, and I would recommend at least thinking about it before you start writing. Like, is that the way I want this story to go? Or I put it here twofold actually, because also like, hey, this is still just an animal. It's a very powerful, disruptive animal, but it's still like just an animal, though, right? Not monster. Dragon Slayer's Codex, a YouTube series I love. I have considered buying the book, but there's something going on with Etsy being a cunt right now, so I'll wait to see how that gets resolved. Um, Dragon Slayer Codex by Sawyer Lee I think it's amazing. It's like one of the greatest little, I guess, spec evo projects I've seen. Is it more like a Seed World? I don't know. Projects I've seen, and it does a great job at actually making the dragons feel imposing, feel threatening, all that stuff, while simultaneously making them still feel like they're just animals that just happen to evolve in weird ways as it's been going. Like, and also there's like new stuff he keeps adding. It's great. I love it pretty much, and I recommend you go check it out. Maybe it'll give you some inspiration on how to handle this stuff in your own sorts of settings and whatnot. But point I'm making is like, sure, for all their destructive power, for all their kill counts, for all their spikes and breath weapons and wings and talons quicker than a greyhound's, right? It's still just an animal. It's just kind of doing what it does. Not evil, it just is. And maybe you want your story to focus on that, right? Maybe you could do that as a like a futility of revenge plot. I feel like that's a more satisfying way to do those plots personally. If it's like something you can't actually kill. Well, I guess you could, because I was also thinking like natural disasters. Like, can you call fire evil because it's fire? That analogy doesn't hold up when it's a sentient, but or is the word sapient? Whichever one. But because you're talking about a monster, which is kind of just an animal, like it does fit. And I think it could fit if you want it to fit in your story. You get what the point I am hammering home repeatedly like a fucking brick. Anyway, I'm gonna move on now and talk about some of the other stuff. So, territory and diet. This is one you want to get down quick. So, territory kind of goes hand in hand with what I said earlier about the environment. Obviously, animals fit in the ecological niche. Fun fact: parasites are the most successful ecological niche. That's why we still have middle management around. AE. Uh, that joke sucked. But for this, is this behavior and territory? Is this territory and diet? Territory and diet. Okay. For territory and diet, first of all, animals take territory quite seriously. That's where most like predators attacking each other comes from because they're not really worth eating one another given the quality of the meat that comes out of it, etc. Like that's where most of the disparity comes from. Animals like maybe not being alone because I'm thinking about like social animals like wolves and like monkeys and shit and lions, I guess too. Seals? Do seals have? I don't know how seals work. Maybe not necessarily alone, but definitely like being unbothered in my lane, moisturized, thriving. Let me take a sip of water real quick. Animals definitely love being left to their own devices, really. And you should emphasize that when you're talking about a monster, which is. I keep reiterating, knowing that, maybe your story handles it in a different way, but like that monsters are just kind of like big animals. It's just like the way it goes and stuff. Uh, fine. I gotta respond to someone. Pause. Immediately lost track of what I was saying. I didn't even like pause for a minute. So I'm just gonna swap it up and be like, uh, having territory, you may be thinking, why would I bother emphasizing this monster's territory? Doesn't that like have little bearing on the plot? It has some bearing on the plot, but only so far as you make it have bearing on the plot, of course. When does the monster having territory matter? When your main characters are in or around it, or have to go through it or around it, etc. You could bring up how they're under a time limit, and this is the most direct path through. Of course, it's the stomping grounds or sleeping grounds or hunting grounds or what have you of this known threat in the area, but they're on a timer and don't really have the luxury to avoid it. Or you could have them avoid it, right, the first time. Because, Chekhov's gun checks off my gun, because, have them avoid it the first time, because regardless, like, timer be damned, or whether or not they have a timer in the first place, the main characters are going to be slow, cautious, and careful, emphasizing some sort of like a personality trait or like character trait that they have. But maybe you let it be that way for a few times. On the way back or on the way to being chased or something to that effect, they decide to take a risk and walk through it, hoping that the danger will either scare off their pursuers or like they'll be able to throw them off or fuck, even the monster just kills them, right? There's a lot you can. Well, I guess not so much. There's a lot, but there are things you can do with the idea of putting territories in your monster settings, right? Because I mean, shit, who doesn't like more little plot beats or like little chips and parts to play around with every now and again? No, ugh, I think it's a lot of fun. And mostly I'm thinking about that one thing I said in the Fantasy Races Part 2 video with like the giants and stuff. Still my favorite video I've made. Maybe not my favorite. I still fucking love that food video. I guess we're just gonna go down, right? Behavior and threat. How do the monsters behave, right? Are they kind of cowards? I don't want to say cowards because that makes them feel almost like too human, but are they very quite unwilling to risk any sort of bodily harm at all? Like, if you portray yourself as big and mean enough, if you throw like a few rocks at their face, are they just gonna scamper off because they're like, you know what, fuck this? And I know I did just say, and it's true, that animals don't really like getting in fights. But what I'm saying here is like, how much does this species as a whole tolerate? And of course, it's not like, yeah, the species does, the species is a bitch, universal sort of idea. But like, give yourself a little guidelines, right? Does this creature really desperately want to maintain its territory? Does it really want to scare you off? Did it just hunt and it's more willing to risk limb, not limb, but like life and limb, not proverbially anyway, to get the main characters off? Is it a mother? Right? Maternal instincts are a hell of a thing. Believe it or not, I'm not a woman, so I don't have maternal instincts. Nor am I a father, so I don't have paternal instincts neither. But I have helped raise like a shit ton of kids, and I get it. I understand. But like, there's people say you don't mess with a mama bear for reasons, cause like shit, dog, you don't want to. Bears will fuck you up on a good day, and that's a mother who sees you as a threat to her children, whether or not that's ridiculous. But point being, well, that's behavior, right? It's still terrible. Oh wait, what the fuck? Hold on. Sorry, I got jump scared. I thought I had to go sit. No, that was this one might be shorter because I do have a time limit. Um, right, like I was saying, like that is behavior, right? And it poses a direct threat because it believes you to be a threat, regardless of whether or not it's realistic or shit. But like, is it nocturnal? Hell, is it nocturnal? That's a pretty good question to ask. Like, does this creature only come out at night, prefer to come out at night, etc.? Does it only hunt at night, but it's still tired? Is there actually like precedence for that? I don't know. Like, these are things you could ask yourself. Does it prefer to scavenge as opposed to combat anything directly? This is just like fun things to consider that you can play around with for your creatures. See what happens. See how it goes. And threat is obvious, right? Like, how much will this fuck your day up? Right, like honey badgers, they're vicious little fucking things, but you can still pick them up with your hands and throw them in the sky, and then when they come down, if they still haven't fucked up, you can just keep doing that. Sure, it's fucked up, but I mean, the badger started it, so hey, keep that one in your back pockets. Rises and how it affects umies, right? Monster Hunter reference here. I don't know, I've never played the games, but with how abundant, air quotes, whether or not it's true, monsters are in your world, is there a business around dispatching them, or even just relocating them, or even just punching them for sport, like as bullfighting and stuff? I mean, bullfighting's a lot more than just punching them, but it goes. Bullfighting's fucked up. You cut back to what I said earlier about like the pet trade rings and stuff. And that bullfighting's not pets, but still. How does it affect humans, right? Like, is there a business around taking care of them? Like, do people have people hung their bones up on their mantelpiece as like pieces of pride? Like hunting for tusks and horns, like scrimshaw, right? Fuck, whaling was a huge business for the longest time. Is there a whaling equivalent for these creatures? Right? Because if there's one thing I know is that shit. I would eat a dragon in a heartbeat if someone offered. Dragons is cool. Why switch it up? Like, right, if you're writing fantasy or shit, even if you're writing sci-fi or whatever, like, do you want to put in a dragon in your story? People fucking go crazy for these things. Yeah, this one's gonna be way shorter. I have things to do. I actually have to wrap this up. I realize now I'm speed running through these and not talking as much as I usually would. Sorry if that makes the stuff I'm talking about less useful or interesting or whatever. Dragons is cool. Why switch it up? I mentioned before already the Dragon Slayer's Codex. Evidently, and there is a lot you can do with dragons. There's a lot of like you can put twists and spins and open up a whole bag of tricks when relating to and talking about and using dragons in your media. How big are they? What is their preferred method of hunting? Hell, are they just even herbivorous? They could be. How do they have like their behaviors and territories and like mating rituals and shit? Because he brings up that a few times, and I think it's pretty cool. One of my favorites that he has on as videos on his channel is the Clatterjaw. Remember, it's Sawyer Lee, Dragon Slayer's Codex. It's really good. Uh, but before I go, one final note: flight is like really strong. The ability for creatures or even your main characters, keep this in mind, especially for main characters, to engage with things mostly on their terms, unless the opponent has a range attack or ability to fly on their own, is fucking ridiculous. Even if you have a ranged attack, good luck trying to hit a flying target. Even if you also can fly, good luck trying to hit also a flying target. Like, practically omnidirectional movement is fucking ridiculous. Sure, even if there's some lag, like startup lag related to it, even if you have to turn your body towards the direction you want to go, flight is nearly uncontested in terms of strength. So when you add the ability for something to fly, keep in mind you're adding the ability for it to fly. It doesn't need to fight if it doesn't want to, and it probably won't want to. Sorry if this video feels rushed. It kind of is. I have things to do today for once. I wanted this video out because it's been fucking 2 weeks since I put a last one. Let me know in the comments if you want me to like elaborate on anything, and I'll just give you a paragraph or two in the comments. But until then, I'll catch you next time, guys, and I hope that whatever projects you're doing, the monsters are a hell of a lot more interesting than they have been so far. Looking at like all the media I've been reading, have some interesting fucking creatures for the main characters to face, whether or not it's a fight, right? Anyway, like I said, catch you next time. Have a good one.